Hello, you guys. Hello, you guys. Hello.
Sir, how are you doing today?
I've been a lot worse. How are you?
Well, I'm good. I'm glad you're okay. I heard earthquakes in California as well, as per the California usual, I guess. It happens from now to then. Well, first and foremost, I want to thank you for joining me today. I'm very excited to talk to you about this film, Inside the Rain. First and foremost, I guess, can you tell us a little bit about Monty and how you read him?
Monty is probably 12 men I worked for out of the hundreds of them. And I just put them all in one guy and had a sense of humor about him, as I hope most of my bosses that are like this in the past have had a sense of humor about themselves, but they are cliche.
And when it came to this character, I found a lot, I guess, a lightness to him too. You know, he's a very kind of fun individual. He has kind of a hopeful outlook. Was that something you kind of found with him as well?
Well, yeah, I did not want to play the very serious side of this kind of person, because there is that, but it's much more fun to watch if you don't live with the character through the whole movie. It's much more fun to watch the silly side, I guess you'd call it.
And I guess, one of the things I definitely want to ask about is, working with the cast itself, Ben, Emily, like, what was it like working with them?
Well, I didn't work with a lot of people, as you saw, but
Yeah.
everybody was lovely on this shoot. It was probably the calmest, quietest shoot I maybe have ever been on. Everybody was well behaved. Everybody knew why they were there, and everybody liked being there. So it was a real pleasure.
Well, and that's something that's very interesting to me too, because, for someone with the amount of credits you have, I would almost have you must have some kind of sixth sense when it comes to being on a set and knowing if this is a good set, if this is a fun set. I mean, how do you judge that once you walk onto the set? You know what? This is going to be a fun time, or this one's going to be a little bit of a hassle,
You know right away if a set is going to be, as it were, copacetic, if everything is going to fit together. You know right away, like half your first day, you know it's going to happen. And after it happens, you go with the flow. And sometimes it's a weird flow. This movie was like camp. Everybody was lovely. Everybody was where they were supposed to be when they're supposed to be there. And it was just a great place to go to work.
One of the things I like about this is the fact that this movie doesn't really sugarcoat the character of Ben. I mean, he doesn't, it's not like at the end where it's 100% fixed. Like, no one is 100% fixed. We all have our processes. Is that something that you like to see in films, where we don't necessarily have a snap, everything's fixed and we're done, and, off to Enchanted Neverland?
Well, that's life. So it's much more acceptable when you go with that approach. But what's really important about this movie is we have lots of people in two generations now on psychotropic drugs, because they have issues, bipolar, whatever you want to call them. They have issues, and or they have what they want to redirect, and so they're on psychotropics. And it's great to understand that world, that we can talk about it now, like we can talk about whether fashion, cars, love, disdain, whatever it is the subject is, but we can talk about it. And this film's important for that reason, in that it's brings something out that we don't really talk about, and we can and we should. And if we do, it's going to help all of us.
Well, I guess I have to ask you, because this is part of the way these interviews go. I guess, could you explain to us, when you read it, what was your first, how do you explain this film to your friends or people when they ask, what is Inside the Rain? How do you explain the film?
Understanding the correlation with the world and with your place in it, and if you need help, be it a medicinal or emotional, that you seek and find it and understand that it is help, basically.
And I have to ask, in this time of quarantine, I've talked to so many people who have found different hobbies or different ways to reconnect with themselves. Have you found this open time or this quarantine to kind of give you some new aspects, or have you started a hobby or anything yourself?
Well, I'm a reader. I have like a 5,000 book library. So I'm just reading my ass off. And also, my favorite singing, songwriting, guitar player has a huge library, Keaton Simons.
Okay.
And I've been doing all his stuff. And it's just to have the time to do it is remarkable.
That's fantastic. I'm also a reader, and actually, I am doing autobiographies right now. I just read The Michael Munn with John Wayne, and I just reviewed. It's coming out. I think it just came out today or yesterday. Val Kilmer's new memoir. I know you worked with him on a film too.
He's a lovely, lovely, lovely human being, dude.
Yeah, and it's funny once you actually look at the book, like how positive his notes are on what he wants to be. Like he of course admonishes his own personal actor behavior and serving the character, but he definitely, has a positivity about him, wanting to be with nature, wanting to, enjoy the people and the cast around him too. So I really did enjoy that part.
And of all the superstars I've ever known, he's probably got the healthiest sense of humor I've ever hung out with.
That's awesome. One thing I do have to ask you really quickly is being a fan of your career. There's so many fun things that kind of pop into my mind, but I know for a fact that one of the films I watched of yours nonstop through most of my life was Best of the Best, and it's almost been 30 years now. So, is there any thoughts going back to that shoot? Taekwondo and all that world.
It was like camp with the 5 of us on the team. It was like camp. We just would go to work every day and have fun, literally. It was like a Taekwondo camp every day of our lives. And we just had fun. There was only one of us who was not a martial artist of that 5, David Agresta. And I look back on it, we were very mean to him. We used to beat him up, kind of. It was not nice. But that film, the Reeve brothers, Simon and Philip, were our bosses, and they ran that movie into immortality.
Well, it's fantastic. Well, there's so many great films that I think about all these different things. Not to mention, I was one of the huge fans of the show The Finder as well. I loved it. I miss Michael Clark Duncan every day. I mean, I loved that show, and I wanted so much to see the next steps, all the things that were going to happen, and it's one of those things where, when you've been part of TV shows like you've been, like, once you see that it's not going to have the next step, do you kind of miss that character? Like, you're like, well, it was a friend I wanted to visit more. Do you have that feeling still sometimes?
Well, you learn when you're as old as I am, you learn not to fall in love, because in the early days you fall in love a lot.
Yeah.
And from 21 to 31, I fell in love. Every character I embraced, I fell in love with that whole world. And when it ended, I was heartbroken every single time. Up until about maybe the 30th time, I had my heart broken, as it were. And I stopped investing, and I started having real humor about it. And I just got over myself, and that I got over my involvement in that, and that, yes, I gave a lot, but it was not my life, and it's not who I am. It's just what I did. And but it takes practice. It takes practice.
That's fantastic. Well, and like I said, as I look through your many, 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 many credits, I look through and you've got a chance to play so many people. And one of them kind of came to mind because one of the few movies that's coming out right now, they're actually releasing, is upcoming in May, is Capone. Tom Hardy plays Al Capone, but you played him as well. Is there any thoughts on, like, historical figures like that? Like, what did you learn about Al that you really enjoyed, or, that you look forward to when you see other actors attempt a role? Like, if you did Hamlet, you see another actor attempt it. What was it about maybe Capone you looked for?
I am not terribly proud of my Capone. I was too young for him. I was too skinny for him. I had too much hair for him, all kinds of things. I was wrong for Al Capone. But when you're offered Al Capone, it's like being asked to work for Hal Ashby. You don't say no. You just have to go do it.
Right.
I am not proud of that performance. Tom Hardy is magnificent. Tom Hardy cannot miss. When Tom Hardy says yes, it's for a reason. I said yes because I was young and silly.
Right.
Tom Hardy gives a great presentation as Al Capone. I did not. So that being said, let's talk about Tom Hardy.
Well, I want to talk about you. And, one of the things I just thought about right now, too, reading Val Kilmer's book and his true love for Brando, was there an actor that you put on a pedestal yourself who was the gold standard to everything he said and everything he did was pure art? Was there someone for that for you?
There was a couple of them. Brando was one of them. But as I got older and I would read about, like when I read about, Brando's antics on the set of Dr. Moreau, he got Val in a lot of trouble a lot of times.
Yes.
He would send Val on little trips to go do little things for him that were not copacetic. And he was being mean. If you have an overview and you look back on it, Brando was not a very kind man.
Yeah.
And as a matter of fact, he was crappy, and just by his behavior, I don't know him,
right?
But just by what I read, the little errands he would send Val on. But that's just one little part of his nastiness. He was not a good guy, apparently,
right?
But we all know he was one of the kings of make it real, make me cry. Oh my God, he was
right.
Yeah.
And when they give classes, you have to listen, one way or the other. And it's interesting how you say about him, kind of leading Val on. I remember recently, like I said, I read that book by Michael Mann about John Wayne, and I wasn't aware that Ford treated Wayne so badly. I didn't even know that was a possibility either. So it's interesting to, humanize some of the people we idolize. And I'm very excited. I was very excited to hear what your thoughts on those too. So, more importantly, I was very excited about this film. Amazon Plus videos on demand. It's out. It's going to be such a fun film for people to watch. Aaron and Ellen Tolan are fantastic in it, and I hope to see more from you soon. I actually enjoy your animated voice work too. So always look for more of that too. And any more animated stuff in the future for you by chance?
Big Finish, Doctor Who.
Big Finish, Doctor Who.
Oh, really?
There you go.
All right. Well, that's the way to go. Well, I'm looking forward to that very much. Well, you have a great day. Thank you so much. Enjoy your quarantine and enjoy whatever you're reading. And we will check out Inside the Rain.
Thank you so much. Stay safe.